Okay, May. Pretty much you did a good job on your rough draft, but I do have a few suggestions for you to ultimately make it a final copy worthy. So first of all, you'll see here that this information is pretty good. What I'd like to see is your first name, and then Ms. McKenna, and then you'll put EELA3 virtual, which is fine. And then actually here you're going to put the date that the assignment is due, which is October 20th, 2014. And the way that you'll do that is 20 October 2014. Up in the upper right hand corner, I'll be looking for your last name and then the page number. So it would be 1 on the first page, your last name, and 2 on the second page, and so on. Next, the title. I'm looking for something that is not quite so bland, if you will. I would like for you to come up with something that's a little more interesting, has a little more interest. Okay. Your opening sentence looks really good. I enjoy that. Here, go ahead and take this quote from me, as you will, out. You don't really need to have that in there because you read the excerpt, so you're able to summarize it appropriately. This sentence, filled with deceit, greed, and a developed mistrust between a sacred bond with a captain and his fellow crewmen, taking place on a ship where Captain Ahab had planned to take his very well thought out elaborate scheme, is confusing. That needs to be reworded. I would suggest something like, after you talking about him having a desire for vengeance against a white whale, you could then go on to say, and through this voyage, Captain Ahab was deceitful and created a mistrust between him and his crew, as he was not completely truthful about what his original intentions were. And then go on to say Captain Ahab characterizes the white whale, Moby Dick, as evil, and finish up your thesis, which you did great with. Now, as far as your body paragraphs, I'm looking for a couple of things. First, I'd like to see in your very first sentence you introduce which literary element you're looking at. And I know that this one's from diction because you do mention it later on, but it really should be kind of up here so that the reader knows what it is that they're going to be reading about throughout that paragraph. As far as the rest of the paragraph goes, you say one of the ways that the author contributed to this complex structured sentences. You use diction, and then you just put the quote in there. You have to go on and explain the quote. What does "with curious and not unholy apprehensive faces" mean? That's where that explanation piece comes in. You're also missing a page number. Right now, you've just taken information and placed it into a paragraph, but if you don't give it the proper in-text citation, you're missing that, and it actually could be considered a form of plagiarism. So you want to make sure you give credit to Herman Melville, who's the author of the piece. Again, you say that he used words to help the audience develop an idea of how Captain Ahab was drawing the crewmen in, making them fall to the greed that the captain set them up to take. And then again, this is sort of just a quote that's just stuck there. Intense bigotry and purpose is a good quote, but you need to make sure that you go on then and explain, what does intense bigotry purpose mean, and how does that relate back to Captain Ahab drawing his crewmen in. And the third thing I notice is that you don't have a third piece of text, so you do need to include a third detail. You have to have a minimum of 3 pieces of text for each paragraph. Kind of the same things here. Another way that Melville portrays the dark side of American romanticism with the revenge, what you might say is another way that Melville portrays Ahab's feelings that Moby Dick are evil is through his use of imagery. And then again, you have this kind of just quote that's stuck here. You really need to introduce the quote, have the quote, and then explain it through. So don't just have these, I like to call them orphaned quotes. I mean, this is just a quote that's put there, but you really need to tell me, what does this terrific loud animal sob like that of a heart-stricken moose, what does that mean? Who did it? Why were they doing it? What was the purpose behind Melville including that detail to provide that image for us? Same thing with this one, the curious spout, and again you need a third example. And then this last but not least really shouldn't be included. What you could say, additionally, Melville has used symbolism to help progress his idea in the dark side of romanticism, or to show that Captain Ahab believes Moby Dick is evil. Then talk about the gold coin, you talk about Starbuck. You don't have any quotes that tell me where you got these ideas from. I need to see, where does he mention the gold coin? What does that symbolize? What's the quote that tells you that? How does he mention Starbucks sanity, or where did you get that idea from? And then again, the white whale. How do you know it's white? Where is that mentioned? I happen to know the gold coin is mentioned on page 286, so you may look at 286 to see that. Starbuck questions his captain, I think, on 286 or 287, and then the white whale, of course, is mentioned several times. But you need to tell me, take a piece of the text that says, where is that white whale? And then as far as your conclusion goes, he has illustrated, I would say has illustrated in his complex structured sentences of the concept in the dark side of romanticism using diction, imagery, and symbolism. Really, this just needs to be restating your thesis in a new way. So he characterizes it. You may go down and say something to the effect of, employing the use of diction, imagery, and symbolism, Melville is able to characterize the white whale as evil through the eyes of Captain Ahab. So you're just literally restructuring or redoing that. Story of Moby Dick has the plot of a man with vengeance on a white whale, just taking one of his legs, and then you summarize your main points, and then you leave me with a final point, which is pretty good. So you need to read through, make those changes I suggested, check some of your grammar and formatting, and then you should be good to go. If you have any questions, please come find me, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.